I'm here to present House Bill 1451, which is about protecting the public from unsafe encounters with wild animals. And first, I want to acknowledge the Humane Society for bringing this issue to my attention and proposing a solution. And I also want to acknowledge my colleagues who have co-sponsored the bill, who may not have gotten on to the final print version. Chair Kulik, Representative Sanchez, Representative Warren, Representative Howard, Representative Schusterman, who is the chair of the Animal Welfare Caucus, Representative Hanbidge, Representative Isaacson, Representative Pielli, Representative Deloso, Representative Salisbury, and most recently, Representative Gergely. So the impetus for this bill was a recent decision by the Pennsylvania Game Commission. It's rare to have a split vote, and in this case, 6-3, and the commission moved away from a long-held safety measure that prohibited direct contact between public and wildlife, and in particular, exotic wildlife. The commission remains and has the ability to correct this policy, and we will be discussing it with them over the summer. But that would just lessen the need for this type of legislation. Recent events have actually reminded us that we do need to make sure that there's appropriate safety regulations to ensure proper training for staff as well for their safety and for the public safety. Now, this bill doesn't directly address incidents like the one a few weeks ago where a staffer on a safari was gored by a bison, but if that staffer is not adequately trained to refrain from petting a wild animal, that is what the staffer did. She said, "Oh, my mistake was to reach out and touch the bison's fur." So if the staffer's not trained and staffer can't make themselves safe, how do we make the public safe? And we just have to remember that wild animals are wild, and their just intrinsic instincts are going to make them unpredictable. So one feature of the risk involved is scratches, bites, other things that are coming from wild animals who are not usually vaccinated will increase the risk of vectors and potentially of pandemic or other types of health issues for humans. And then finally, a lot of the animals in these roadside attractions or in these menageries or safari zoos, you have to be aware of the conditions that they are held in. Often they're prematurely separated from their mothers. They are overbred, and the forced human contact is not a natural thing for them. So to remedy this issue, the legislation that we're providing would prevent the public from feeding or having direct physical contact with exotic wildlife without a sufficient separating barrier. And we're working again with the advocates and with the facilities and with the commission to get the right balance between teaching people about the wonders of the wild and respecting that what is wild needs to remain wild. Madam Chair, it is my hope that this bill will both spur the commission to revisit its actions and will prompt us to properly review and regulate attractions that bring us face to face with wild and exotic animals. I ask for a positive vote from my colleagues.